Everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Expo podcast series. And once again, we've got a rookie on board with us tonight. Not there's anything wrong with rookies. We love rookies, right? Everybody loves the shiny new toys. Guess what? This guy's got a shiny new toy. He can't wait to show off. I can't wait for you guys to see. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Adams with Green Gridiron. Steve, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, Bob. Thanks. That's a good intro, man. Well done.
So
so,
now we'll get a little bit more into the Green Gridiron, but just tell people like where you live, and then we'll kind of
sure.
get into your history and where are you coming from. I know you're obviously coming to the expo. We wouldn't be interviewing, right? But where are you
That's right.
coming from? In the United States.
Sure. Okay. So I'm originally from New Jersey and moved down to South Carolina about 9 or 10 years ago. Shortly after moving to Greenville, South Carolina, I got paired up with Jay from Green Gridiron. At the time, it was a very early new company. And it basically started the way most good stories start. We were both at a bar at an event neither of us wanted to really be at. And I was a newbie to the town. And we kind of just like looked at each other and we started chatting. And he told me about this company called Green Gridiron that he started. And at the time, they were doing reconditioning football face masks for a majority of the NFL and a whole bunch of Power Five and the larger colleges. Uh, Basically, long story short, he was looking to grow what he was doing to reach a bigger market. And I had experience in visuals and marketing and photography. So I was like, I like football and I can do all that stuff. Let's see if we can figure something out, man. And the rest is history.
Right now, perfect. Yeah, no, and so let's just take a step back. I love your story. I can't wait for this one to be shared because we always have the story of when did you start playing fantasy football? Who got you into fantasy football? Your story takes a
Yeah.
little bit of a different path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell people
So,
about the path and
all
why
right.
it's a little different than most of the people that I'm interviewing.
Okay. If they can make it through this part, give me a chance because I promise it gets better.
All right.
So, many moons ago, I'm watching my friends, get heavily invested emotionally into their fantasy leagues, and I'm like, well, that looks fun, and it was almost like a brotherhood, and I was feeling envious, right? So I was like, all right, next year I'm in. So we have this whole big party, and I'm like, yeah, and my first pick comes up, and I pick, I don't know, defense for the Giants, and my friends were looking at me like, "Oh, all right." And then the second round, I mean, dude, it just got worse from there. And I thought I had this whole opposite strategy, and yeah, it didn't work out. So year one was a disaster. Year two was marginally better, and although I really just liked partaking it and it almost became the challenge of like to see how bad I could be, and I wasn't doing it purposely. I really didn't have a knack for it. I just didn't have a knack for it. And I'm like, I don't understand how I could suck this bad. Like I've watched football my whole life. I've been into the game, but golly, man, it wasn't for me. But I found a way to stay in the game and in that culture. And it was really when collectible helmets and trophy helmets and pieces of content really started hitting the market. And I was like, okay, I can stay in this game by creating amazing helmets for fantasy leagues that were looking for cool things.
And that's why we are here, folks.
Yes.
Steve, let's talk about that. So, because Steve came to me because he was told by somebody, but we'll let him tell that story.
Yeah.
So, Steve, you have this company, you're working with this guy, but you're focusing on more of their original focus was basically the face mask, but you decided, hey, how about if I take helmets and custom make them?
Yeah.
So talk about how you transitioned, that love of football and this start of this relationship with your friend and how it's kind of turned into what Green Gridiron is today.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, Jay was great to work with. I came early on, which was nice. So, um, I'm proud to be a partner in the company now and have been for about 6 years. And a lot of it is just happened organically. So, what happened was when we started selling field use football helmets to high school players and youth leagues and all that other stuff, we started dabbling in collectibles. And what was cool about the fact that we already worked with all the NFL and colleges at this point, and we created all the 3D bumpers for the teams that say like NY or Cowboys or Seahawks or whatever, and we did all their face mask recons. We had all like the components. So when we wanted to sell collectibles, we knew we had to do something different to set ourselves apart because anybody can buy out of the box collectibles all over online. So what we said was we're going to take collectibles and we're going to turn them into things like this, where you can upgrade them with real field use pieces like upgraded hardware, visors. You can change your face mask hardware. You can change all this stuff, get the 3D bumpers added onto it. Now, out of the box, you don't just have a New York Giants helmet, you have an Odell Beckham exact Giants helmet with his face mask, his clips, his all the little nuances, because we already were so steeped in that culture. And because of that, people naturally wanted their own stuff that had nothing to do with football. So we were getting reached out to by companies and by some influencers who were like, well, can you make my own helmet for me, for my brand? And then since then, it's become a pretty major part of what we do. And we work with teams and companies and businesses throughout the world, really. And it's been a lot of fun to see how the helmet is really a billboard now. Brands want their stuff all over these helmets. And I'm going to show you while we're nice early on here.
Yeah.
And this is a real thing that you don't know about that's happened yet, but
Yes.
so
Our own Fantasy Football Expo helmet, baby. Cleveland Browns got it on the back. There it is, folks. Guess what? You can get the same type of helmet made for your brand, for your fantasy site, just like that one. And you think that one's cool. Wait to get your own made for your website. And so, Steve, thank you, man. That is so cool. I did not know you were coming prepared with it. He's got the shield and everything. So I'll be wearing that when I'm doing the flag football this year, just so I don't get hurt. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. So I'll tell you real quick what we did here, and you hit the nail on the head. When fantasy leagues reach out to us, it's been the past 3 years where they want one of two things. They want something to sit on their shelf in the background while they're doing their show,
right?
Or this is the trophy, depending on the size of the league, to the winning team. So it would say, Bob's, fantasy league.
Yeah, right. So like we have the Hall of Fame Fantasy Football League, right?
Exactly.
So HFL champion 2024, get a helmet made, and boom, that's your trophy for the year. So when we talked, Steve, obviously I said, "Oh my gosh, you have got to get to the expo. This is brilliant." I get excited about everybody coming, but this one was definitely high on my list.
Yeah, and I could, we kind of fed off of each other's excitement, and I was happy to be a part of it. Big shout out to Troy at Bayou Bengal, because he's he reached out to us, so he is going to have a booth at your show, and he said, he was dabbling in it as a hobby and it became a real thing. He's getting some followers. He's getting some traction with his show. And he's like, damn it, I need a nice piece of equipment for my desk. And I love what you guys do. So I was like, tell me a little bit more about this fantasy league. And he's telling me about it. I'm sorry, the Fantasy Expo. Yeah. He's telling me about it. I'm like, oh, I think we need to go to that. I was like, but let me, can you introduce me to Bob? Sure, right away. He was great. He introduced, we got to chatting, and sure enough, we're happy to be one of the kind of the major sponsors of this year.
Well, yeah. So let's just tell everybody this big announcement. So Steve is not just coming with helmets; he's coming with helmets on, and he's coming balls to the wall, because Steve and Green Gridiron is our Saturday night party sponsor. And I know all of you out there like, oh yeah, that's the best one to sponsor, because that's the biggest party. So Steve will be there with his helmets, showing them off, taking orders, from you if you don't get them before that. But Steve, so yeah, thank you. We're really honored and happy to have you be there, be our Saturday night sponsor. It's at
Yeah, of
at
course.
Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, which is the stadium they play the Hall of Fame game in just 1 week before. So it's fresh off the first game of the year. And so we're really excited to have you there. That's a big step for somebody who's never been to this, but I guess we talked each other into helping each other out. And so that was a big deal. So talk about, what you got planned, for your booth and for the party. What's some of the cool things you're going to be bringing?
Yeah, thanks. So we're going to be showing up at least 4 or 5 deep. I'm going to bring some of the crew, my marketing team, my creators. We're going to have our computers and laptops and everything set up right there to where if people are there and have their artwork, they can just drop us a file and we can actually show you renderings of what your logos and what your design, which is just cool to do. We're going to have some of our helmets on display. Like some of these, this was a really cool recent one that we just did for a new whiskey company for the crew of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Commissioned us to do that. We have these kind of sublimated visors that we can do. So we plan on.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Cool. This was for a 9/11 stair climb that we do each year. And I actually put this on my head and do the whole 10,000 steps.
Oh
my. And all of the helmets we do these are legit,
these are legit. You can play there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. And so what we're planning on for the expo is to just have a great time just kind of connecting and meeting with people because we're pretty sure there's going to be some of the content creators and some of the leagues out there that are going to want some helmets, but more importantly, I think like long term, this community, like I said before, like all of my buddies that are in fantasy, it's a part of their lives.
Oh yeah.
And it's more than just like a standard hobby that's fleeting. Like they do this for decades, some of these guys.
Well, I'm going into year 40. I think I may have told you that of my original league. So yeah.
Which is crazy impressive, man, because most people are in and out of hobbies, and this is more than a hobby where it's almost like a whole culture to it. So my thinking is, let's do it right by having being part of that proper party. I'm pumped to be a part of it. The team that we have, you guys are going to meet. They're all great. I'll be probably walking around with a helmet on my head and my beer in a hand and looking to chat and to just have some good conversations. So yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the hope is if people like Troy in advance want to try to get something, there's still a lot of time for us to make these helmets. Usually they take 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how custom you want to get.
Right.
So I'm almost hoping to show up with some custom stuff for people that are going to be at the show to be able to present it to them in person. I think that would be cool.
Right. So let's talk about that, because that's something that, folks, if you're listening out there, this is exactly why we want you to watch the show, because if you contact Steve at his company, and it's greengridiron.com, go to the custom football helmets, you fill out a form and put that you watched his video. Steve, tell them what they get. Tell them what they get.
It's a new car.
Talk about what the different levels of helmets and things so that people have an idea. But you could get a football helmet, just like the Expo one, made for your booth, for your brand, and it'll be at your booth when you show up at the Expo. Steve will personally hand it to you or put it at your desk or booth or whatever. But Steve, talk about that, because I think it's awesome that people can order these now, have them ahead of time. They can show off your products. You're showing off your products. I'm showing off the Expo one. It's going to be super awesome. We're all just going to be walking around with a bunch of helmets, but that's okay. Now we won't get hurt. But talk about that and some of the different levels and different sizes and what people can get that they can order from you ahead of time.
Yeah. So when you go to the website, like you said, the custom helmet page, we have a pretty extensive library of like maybe the last 10 or 11 companies that we've worked with. And these these helmets that we get commissioned to make, they range. 325, 400, 525 is the average, and they go up to 1,000 plus,
Right.
depending on if you get in these things wrapped in sublimated visors. I mean, some of these you can get. We did the trophy helmet for Better, Jake Paul's
Mm-hmm.
online gambling site. I mean, we did gemstone encrusted logos on this thing. We can get really, really, really high end, but most of them, Bob, they're just like this.
Yeah.
So
Right.
this is a great example of a real helmet that you can get. You can put on your head. You can take pictures with it. It can take a beating. It's legit. It's gonna hold up. This is what like 425 is going to get you, which is really cool because it's yours and it's your exact branding. Typically for something like that, it's a pretty quick turnaround time. We usually jump on a Zoom call so I can show you different things like that, the examples of visors and decals and bumpers, and then we lock down the design. And then if you need help with artwork, we cover that. We don't charge all like these setup fees and all this
Right.
other stuff. And we can do everything from bumper decals all the way up to like the real 3D bumpers like we make for the NFL teams. You can see like
Mm-hmm.
these are like the nice raised. And the stuff that we create it's pretty high end. I mean, even when you look at this, like you can tell from the paint,
Yeah. Right.
that's on
Love the
these.
color. Yeah.
And all the way from molded up to chrome. And Troy, for example, when you see him at the show for Bayou Bengal, Bob, wait till you see the helmet that we're
Oh, I
making
can't
him.
wait.
He went just all out, and it's a great,
Cool.
really great example of a beautiful helmet. So it's a pretty simple process. We try to make it easy at least. And me and my team, we actually work with all of the customers ourselves. It's not like
Right.
we're going to outsource.
And that's what's important too. You're not going to get pushed off to some dude that,
Yeah,
and
and then
you're going to
and
talk
I
to
should
Steve or
also
one of his people.
exactly, and I should also mention, we have a pretty robust social media following. So almost everything that we do that's custom, like your helmet, half of the day today was not just building the helmet, but getting in our in-house studio. I did a whole YouTube video on it. I built it all. We talk about the expo. We talked about you, Bob. We talk about all of this stuff.
Awesome. Can't wait to see
And
it.
on our YouTube channel, we have a little over 270,000 subscribers.
That works.
Yeah, and across our platforms, we're just under 1 million followers. So, so not only are you getting a helmet, but you're kind of going to get me on a platform talking about you and whatever that we get commissioned to do. So it's really kind of like a big package.
Yeah,
But
no, that's fantastic. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
So
helps
folks,
everybody out.
reach out to Steve, make sure you give him whatever he needs, but look at the cool stuff you can do. If you look at the custom page and scroll down to where it's got like Napa and Four Walls and Dos Equis helmets. Some of these are so badass. You've got to see them. They are so cool. They've got it's just you just got to see it. But I'm not even I can't describe it well enough. But I'm just excited for my Fantasy Football Expo helmet. That's cool. I can't wait to see the video and everything and all the stuff out there. But yeah, so for those of you I know, go ahead.
I forgot to mention one thing. So we did want to offer a special for people, for you, Bob, and for the expo. So you mentioned earlier when you're filling out the form, if you want to leave a comment in there, that's fine. If you want to just mention when we're talking, that's fine. Just mention, hey, I heard of you guys through the expo, and we will do a free upgrade. And it's a legit free upgrade. It'll show up in your invoice. So if it's a free visor, or if it's an upgrade to like nice chrome decals instead of standard, it'll be a real tangible value upgrade. And we've only done some sort of a package like this once before, and it really worked out nicely where we offered some sort of a discount. And the goal is just to really not so much to try to get as much quick business as we can. We really want to do the whole long-term thing.
Right.
And I really believe if people see this video, whether it's before or after the expo, or if this is evergreen content and they see it 2 years from now, we'll honor the
Love
upgrade,
it.
we're okay
Yeah.
with that.
I can see you coming every year to this because you're gonna love. I think everybody's gonna love you. You're gonna love everybody. So, it's gonna be awesome. And I know there's many of you out there that are right now going, Bob, Trophy Smack needs to know about these guys because Trophy Smack doesn't have any custom helmet championship things, right? Guess what? We already got you. We already took care of that. So Steve and the boys from Trophy Smack are already talking. And so they're looking to partner, and we're really excited about that because I think it's just the perfect combination. And when I talked to Matt Walsh, I mean, when I first kind of was chatting with Steve, I was at FSGA back in February, and I went right up to Matt Walsh and I go, Ivan, do what you got to talk to, man. Check out these helmets. And he goes, you're not going to believe this. He goes, but I was thinking about doing helmets. And I go, perfect. So
look at that.
Green Gridiron, Trophy Smack will be working together on that. That's going to be awesome as well. So
absolutely.
Steve, anything else you want to share? Again, walk through the folks for getting a custom helmet they can get for the expo. Give them the site information to give you. When's the deadline to get it done so that they have it ready for the booth when you get there, when they get there, and then we'll kind of just. If you have anything else you want to bring up, certainly bring it up. But
sure.
Yeah, I think everybody knows about you. We're going to be really excited. I know we're excited about you being the Saturday Night Party sponsor and just bringing a very, very cool product to the fantasy.
Yeah, we're going to have a pretty cool booth set up, I hope. I mean, here's the best way to describe it. We're only limited by budget and imagination. Right. We can do anything. And we usually find a way to kind of mix your dream helmet with a reasonable goal so you don't necessarily have to break the bank.
Yeah, right.
Some of the bigger companies can really get carried away, and like that's cool, but to me, like the meat and potatoes in these are coming up with something that people are going to be pumped about and like really proud about. Right. There's nothing like taking one of these things and just putting it on your head. That's what every guy does immediately.
Exactly, yeah.
For the price range that's I consider to be, I think, pretty generous, you can really get almost anything that you want. The turnaround time is usually around that 5 to 6 week period, really for almost anything, unless you get really crazy with some of the wraps and some of the more high-end stuff, but those are rare. I would like to say, if we're going to show up with some helmets to deliver the day at the expo, which I hope we get to do, because there's nothing like presenting it.
Christmas. It's Christmas.
Yeah, it really is. You really should try to contact us by mid-May. Definitely drop, or I should say,
like June 1st drop in.
June 1st, because at that point that gives us a solid period. Plus, it's also the craziest time for us. And then we want to be able to make sure that we just get everything right because we don't want to rush it. But I'd love to be able to present some folks. And we're going to be out there at your expo doing our own content and doing our own YouTube and all of our shorts, and we're going to broadcast live. Right. And I think it's going to be pretty awesome collaboration for us for a bunch of years. I really do. Yeah. And then if not, go check out the YouTube channel. If you just go to Green Gridiron on YouTube, it's called The Heads Up Show. I'm the host of this show. We do everything from teaching, educating, entertaining people how to upgrade and change out parts and components on your own helmets. And this way you can go and play, because it's a lot of like model, like father-son stuff where they want to get these pieces and build their own things. And it's a pretty cool show. I mean, it's basically me building different helmets on set, but we do a bunch of other things, and we do all the helmet history breakdowns of all the NFL teams. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Now, on your website, you don't have a link to YouTube, right? Because I didn't see it.
That's an interesting question. So on the actual website.
No, wait a minute. Down here. Yep. There we go. YouTube. Got it.
Exactly. So it is there, especially down at the footer. And then if you go to that custom football helmet page, you can watch the video, which eventually links you to YouTube. But yeah.
Yep. So it's Green Gridiron on YouTube. So definitely go and check that out. Subscribe, like you said, 272,000. So I'm looking forward to the Fantasy Football Expo wanted to show up there.
Yep.
And interestingly enough, we're very, very close to getting BETR Better to come to the expo and be a part of it. So Fantasy, or sorry, the Hall of Fame Village is talking with them. They're partnering with them, so they're really working on them to get there. So hopefully we'll get them to bring that sweet helmet there, but maybe they're maybe a little expensive throwing around. But anyway,
for what it's worth,
So.
Yeah, and Jake Paul right now is all over the news because of the fight coming up with Titan. Yeah, but I got to tell you, man, his his right hand man, Marcos, is who I deal with constantly. I got him on text today. We're going back and forth.
Gotcha.
He's just a solid guy. They are humble, nice people. They're a mega company, but the guy has 7 bajillion followers. I mean, it's unbelievable what Jake Paul is doing for the sport. He's super into football, and anything he does, he has 7 million people following him around. They're the nicest people, and I'm happy to try to help pull those strings as much as possible.
We're hoping we'll get them there, and if Jake can make it, great too. But just having Better be a part of this. We have our special sports betting Saturday event. And we're working to try to get them be our main sponsor for that. So we're very excited. So, Steve, thank you again for being a part of this. Thank you for the super cool. You have to send me some actual pictures of the helmet. For those of you who haven't seen it and you missed it at the beginning, look at this Fantasy Football Expo. You even got it on the back. Look at this, man. And it's Cleveland Browns colors. So my home team. So it works out perfect. This will be, certainly a mainstay at the event forever and ever for sure. So, Steve, thank you again. Follow him on YouTube, Twitter. Check out greengridiron.com. Get your custom-made helmet ahead of time. Order it now. Order it soon. Work with Steve. You're not going to be sorry. You can see they're awesome. So, again, Steve, thank you for being here. Of course, everybody out there, don't forget, April 1st. Price goes up $10 for the tickets. So make sure you get your tickets ahead of time. VIP weekend passes are only $75. So check those out. TheFantasyFootballExpo.com. Follow us on Twitter at TheFFExpo. And of course, follow us on YouTube as well, because we have our Fantasy Football podcast series. All kinds of great people we've already interviewed. We interviewed Troy Lofton from Bayou Bengal, Casey Kasem, on and on and on. A lot of great people so far. Our Tyler Bradley, our main title sponsor from Fantasy Football Advice Network. I guarantee you he'll want a helmet. I could see him ordering one. So Troy, Tyler out there, you're listening. I know you are. Contact Steve. Get a helmet. You need one. So anyway, for Steve, I'm Bob Long. Everybody take care. God bless. We'll talk to you soon. And we
Thank you.
are...